Welcome to Our Fighting Spirit, the podcast that celebrates and shares the stories of those who believe in persevering over giving up, standing again after falling, and continuing to live and build a life of their dreams no matter the circumstances. Here's your host, Anthony Gigante.
Hi, welcome to Our Fighting Spirit. This is our first show of 2023. And I started Our Fighting Spirit about a year ago to give everyday people like you and I a voice. I've had the pleasure of interviewing and meeting people from all walks of life who have overcome incredible obstacles in their life. Not only did they overcome them, they inspire others at the same time. Their lives went from impossible to invincible. Today, I have a guest, Teresa Soto. Now, I met Teresa about 3 weeks ago when she was here with the Rebel Fitness podcast, and immediately I was captivated by her personality, her strength, her power, and her story. She actually took ownership of her life and decided she wanted to change it. So today, I want to welcome Teresa Soto to Our Fighting Spirit. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you today. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Good. Yeah. It's unusually a little chilly in California these days, but we know we're going to get our hot days soon. So
all of us with the rain.
Enjoy it. Yeah, and a lot of rain as well.
We need it, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. They don't capture it, but we need it. So
right.
Hopefully it'll help the drought situation. So Teresa, tell me, there's so much to talk about.
I know.
And let's start, I guess, were you born and raised here in California?
Yes.
Whereabouts in Santa Clarita?
I actually grew up in Reseda. I'm a Valley girl.
Okay.
Moved out to Santa Clarita when I was a freshman in high school.
And where'd you go to school?
Hart. Thank you very much.
Good old Hart High School. Love it. Very good. Yeah, love it. Great. And in high school, what were your, like, we know what you're doing now. We're gonna talk about that. But
right.
What were your dreams and aspirations in high school? And
oh my gosh,
what was your high school years like?
Well, high school was crazy for me. I was a bad kid.
Ah.
Yeah, my mom and dad said, you must do this. And they, not today. If you tell me this, I'm going to do the opposite.
So you had a strong will.
Yeah. Like my grandfather, I remember when I was in junior high, bless his soul, like literally my mom was like, you're going with your grandpa, right? So like he lived up north. So he took me to the juvenile hall, right? He's like, this is where you could be. And then he took me to Berkeley and he's like, and this is where you can end up. Like, this is like, he tried to, plant a seed in me.
Wow.
But I mean, I never went to Berkeley, but it was just like all those little things that,
That plant a little seed in you as far as that
mentoring
so. That he was giving you?
Yeah, I think so, because I feel like, everybody has something in them. Mm-hmm. And if you have that little bit of something, it motivates you. It makes you like go forward and try to, you aspire for greater things, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. So like, even I'll tell my son, like, why be mediocre when you can accomplish greater things, or however it may be.
Amazing things.
It's in all of us, right?
It
definitely creates a drive. I didn't end up in Berkeley, but it still kind of makes me feel like, oh, man, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. But you can achieve anything if you have that drive, right?
Absolutely. And those words at a young age are very impactful.
Oh, yeah.
Because not many folks communicate that way to younger people. Mm-hmm. They tell them what to do, but they don't show them what can be. Exactly. And I think that was pretty powerful, actually.
Yeah,
I wish I had that when I was younger.
Yeah, it's very impactful, because it's kind of like greatness requires work, mm-hmm, right?
Yep. Greatness requires work.
Mm-hmm. So...
All right, so you are pretty amazing.
Stop.
Now, but there's so many things that happen to you.
Oh, yeah.
And when people find out your story and hear your outlook and who you are, they're going to be amazed by your power and strength. So we graduated high school, and did we go to college or right away?
For like a blink of an eye, mm-hmm, right? Yeah.
Didn't move you.
So even like, we're talking about education and this and that. When I was in high school, I literally I ditched school. I mean, you're supposed to have so many credits by the time you graduate. Mm-hmm. I basically had to make up 2 years, maybe even 2.5 years in one year of school. I would go to school from like 7 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night.
So you graduated then 2
By
years
the hair
later.
of my chinny chin. No, I
Oh,
graduated,
you graduated on time. Oh, I
Yeah.
see. But you did this in summer school? Or,
No,
or,
well, I did do summer school.
but you
But
packed in more in
back
the
then,
days that you
back
had
then,
to.
yeah, I had to go literally from 7 in the morning. I want to say I took 12 classes. Like I did like my regular classes. And then I had a lunch class. I took 2 at the the adult school. I took 2 at COC. Like when I want something, I'm going to do it. So I wanted to graduate high school.
And that gave you enough credits to graduate?
Oh, yeah.
and
It was crazy.
On time?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you graduated high school and college,
I went to COC.
which is smart.
Yeah.
Great school, actually.
Yeah. Oh,
in
yeah,
town
for
here.
sure.
I mean, it's really one of the best I've ever seen for a community college. It's
Absolutely.
much more than that.
Yeah.
All right. So you really, college didn't grab you as much as you thought it would, or
I mean, I wanted to do school. That's what I was hoping to accomplish. But I ended up getting pregnant.
okay.
So I was 19. I got pregnant. I had my son at 20. And then, just life happened in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I have a 21-year-old. I know I don't look old enough to have. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we'll talk about that
Right,
too, because
yeah.
you certainly don't look old enough to have a 21-year-old. But
Yeah.
so you had a baby at 20, and then your
I
life
had a
took
baby
a
at
turn.
20. Yes.
Where were you married, or you had just a relationship at the time, or
Yeah, it was just like a summer fling.
okay, happens. Too,
Yeah.
happens. I
But
mean,
you know
that's
what? I
life.
have a beautiful boy, my little
Oh, yeah.
handsome man.
Oh yeah,
Always and forever my baby.
and
He'll
you love
be-
him. And
Oh, for
there's
sure.
nothing more you can give a child
Yeah,
than love.
no, and he's amazing.
But your life took a little bit of a detour at that point because you had to raise this beautiful boy.
Yes.
And that's what you did. Were you living alone at the time, or with your family, or with your boyfriend, or how did
Oh
what was the
no,
situation
I'm
there?
like a crazy. I've always been like kind of a wild child. Like
Independent.
Yeah. Well, maybe I don't know if you'd call it independent, but I just
Or wild.
Yeah.
All right, we'll figure something in the middle, which is fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just I got pregnant. My parents are strict Christians. So, you got pregnant, there's the door. So I lived like so many different places during that time, like so many different places. And it wasn't until I had my son, I was like, oh, dang, I'm a mom. What the heck? Like, there's this person here now. Because I think in my head, like, I just kind of I knew I was going to have a baby, but it didn't settle in that I was going to have
Sure,
a baby just
sure.
because, like, I was moving from place to place to place. And then I had my son, and he was in the hospital for like a week after he was born. But it wasn't until I brought him home that I was like, oh, what the hell? I just had a baby.
The reality sets in.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Like most people are like, oh crap, I'm pregnant, right? It wasn't until I brought him home that I was
Then
like,
you realized it, yeah.
oh,
the
shit, I have
reality
a
sets
kid.
in. Sure.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking about at that time? Like, were you thinking about what am I going to do now career wise, or how am I going to support our family, or you were alone at the time? Correct?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely had the support of my parents.
Okay.
So once they saw that little boy, they were like,
They were in love.
oh yeah.
Well, that's
Come
good.
home.
Oh, that's good. So you moved back with your
Oh, I
parents?
did. Yeah.
Perfect. Great.
Yes.
All right. So how was that? What kind of a trip was that for you, from being independent and wild, as you say? Now you're under the roof of your parents. And did that start to create some growth in you, or moving away from that wildness or independence, or was it the opposite?
I think that because my parents were very young when they had me also. So I had my son at 20. My mom had me in high school. So my mom and dad were together. My mom, I want to say, was 15 when she met my dad. I believe she had me around 16 or 17 years old. So my grandfather, just the same, there's the door. So my mom had to grow up fast,
Yes.
right? So she was 16 when she had me, maybe 17. Like, oh, wait, no, she was 17. And then 2 years later, she has my brother. And that's when they started to get involved in church and all that stuff. So, she never got to experience, one, being a teenager.
Right. Going through those years.
Right? Being 20, all those things that you need in your life to like develop and become.
Yeah.
Right. You know, there was never any wiggle room.
Right.
So because of that, she was like, go be 20, you know? So I had my son, I lived in her house, and she let me be 20.
That's
you know?
beautiful.
Yeah, and it was crazy because I never thought, like, what the heck? Now I can go out. Now, you know, I turned 21 and I was at the clubs and, you know, it was just
Yeah,
20.
she understood what she missed out on and didn't
Yeah.
want you to miss out on
Yeah.
that. And that's
Oh, for
pretty
sure.
big. Plus, she was able to raise a baby again, at least in her time that she had the baby. You
yeah.
were raising the baby, of course, but she had her time with
Oh,
the
no,
with the
my
grand-
mom made me make sure, she made sure that that baby was asleep before I left.
Oh, yeah, I get that totally. But she also had her moments with,
Oh,
with
yeah,
her grandson,
absolutely.
too. That
She gave him his first bath. I was so
Yeah,
scared.
there you go. That's what I mean. That's exactly
yeah,
what
like
I
little
mean.
things like that.
She
Yeah.
had her time too, so
Oh,
it was a
yeah,
good
her and my
balance for
dad.
everyone.
Yeah, for
which
sure.
is real. That's nice. It sounds like it brought everyone kind of together. in a
Oh,
way.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
My dad got to finally have a kid that played sports and, you know, so there's, you know, that's my son's dad.
There you go. Beautiful.
My grandpa's like, or my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was
So
good.
you're 21 now with a baby, with a beautiful baby boy.
Right.
So what did you think about your future? What were you thinking about doing for yourself? What was on your mind immediately as far as what you should do next?
Honestly, I just had nothing great. Like I worked at the mall and that kind of stuff, which it's kind of crazy because like, if you think about it, I was 19, had my son at 20, 21. I was working at like Bath and Body Works. And then right after that, I ended up getting a job with my mom.
What does she do?
We worked at a reunion committee. So we planned high school reunions, right?
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. It
That
was another
sounds
party.
very, very, very exciting.
a lot of
Actually, a lot
fun.
of entrepreneurial skills needed for something like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Putting things together.
Yes, exactly. So my mom managed that business. And then just like her, like I just kind of, you know, stepped into it. And, oh, wait, I have to kind of rewind a little bit because actually before that happened, I just had my son. He was just brand new. And my grandfather was like, okay, Teresa, now what, right? What are you going to do? What are your plans? So he took me to, what is it, like Bryman College, like one of those, you know. And I remember going and I wanted to do something in the medical field. But once he heard $100 an hour, you know, in like what, 2002? 2001, $100 an hour as a massage therapist, right? And I was like, I wanted to do something in the medical field, but my grandfather pushed me into massage therapy.
So
yeah.
you became a massage
I
therapist.
became a massage therapist.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So that's an interesting field. I mean, you're giving a lot of energy to people and
Yes.
probably expending a lot of energy that you
Yeah.
feel you need to replenish somehow, right?
Yeah.
How'd you like that?
Oh, I hated it.
Why'd you hate it?
Well, at first it was kind of fun. Well, because I was 20, right? Got to meet a lot of interesting people. But just like you were saying about the energy, even my instructor at the time, he talked about energy a lot and just like how you put it out into the universe and when you touch people and, you know, there's a certain element of intimacy, if you would.
There is intimacy,
Right.
for sure.
So I really enjoyed his class and just like it was more than just learning and educational. It was just like that whole process of learning about human touch, basically.
Human touch,
right?
yeah.
So I did that. I finished, but during that time, that's when I got into the job that my mom put me in. So I did that for a couple years. And now that I'm kind of reflecting back on it, everything just happened so fast.
Yeah.
So I had my son, I went to school, I had my job. And then in those 2 years, I want to say like 2.5 years, I remember going to the doctor's office.
Yeah, I want to ask you that. So this is about 24 years old, roughly now,
I was
give or
about
take.
23, 24, yeah.
So you went to the doctor, and was it a routine visit to the
Yep.
doctor, or was it something you needed to go see?
No, just a regular doctor
Yeah,
visit.
so it did total work, checkup
getting
on
my
you,
new
or
contacts,
physical and stuff,
getting my
and
new
contacts.
contacts, you
Looked
know.
in your eyes and said, "We have a problem here."
Yeah. So he, we did the exam, and then I went to go pick out, a pair of glasses and, contacts for the year. And like this doctor actually kind of sucked because I go in, you're expecting your regular visit.
Yeah.
And I remember he said, okay, these are your glasses. And he said, we're going to have to get you different lenses. And I said, okay. And he's like, they're going to be a lot more expensive. And so I think I paid like $80 for the year for my contacts. And he's like, your vision is gotten worse. And he said, you have corneal keratoconus. And I was like, what? What does that mean? Right? I had no idea. And he casually says, well, you have corneal keratoconus, which means you're going to go blind.
Wow. Now, when he said you're going to go blind, did he say within a certain time or eventually? How do you say that to someone?
And so casually.
Yeah. What'd you feel at that moment? Like you were shocked, right? Obviously shocked.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to go blind. Like, what is that? What? Like tomorrow? Like, is this
when?
some
What's
like,
happening?
is there
Yeah.
some kind of like expectation of, right? And I was like, what? And then of course he explains it to me. He's like, well, your cornea is round, right? It's like round like this. And the way that your eye is it's eventually going to protrude and it's going to go into the shape of a football, right? And I was like, wait a minute, what? I don't, like, because that's a lot, right?
A lot is an understatement.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then so I'm crying, and then he's like, so, and I'm like, wait a minute. So what? I'm not going to see my son grow up. I'm never going to see my grandbabies. Like this is crazy, right? And then so he says, well, eventually. And I was like, well, how long? Oh, I don't know. But, this is your prescription.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God. So I think it was like within the year of that diagnosis that, I would like look at stuff and I had my glasses and I could see, but then all of a sudden, because my left eye is worse than my right eye. So all of a sudden I was like this, and, there was somebody who'd be like, oh, you look like a pirate. Right. And I'm like, and I have like, I laugh at myself a lot. I laugh, I joke. But all of a sudden I was self-conscious, which for me, I wasn't self-conscious, like I had like messed up teeth most of my life. And, it's just, I learned to deal.
Well, what were you self-conscious about? What was the main thing you were self-conscious about?
Like growing up?
No, at that moment, at the time you became self-conscious all of a sudden.
Because it was something that I couldn't control.
Okay. Okay.
Like I said, even with my teeth, like I had like messed up teeth over here.
Yeah.
So like if I took a picture, I'd go like this way, and
you
then
would
like
cover it. You would make it work. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with my vision, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
With my vision, it's I can't do anything about it.
You can't do anything about it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went from like I couldn't even do this, so I'd start off like squinting, and then it ended up being like he would say like. You're a pirate.
How long did that take? How long did it take before it started to really deteriorate or get worse from when you first were diagnosed?
Like I said, within a year.
Within a year. Okay.
Yeah. So here I am, 23, losing my vision. I remember I went to try to get another job because I couldn't do my job, right? I was at a computer. Whatever. It was hard for me to see the screen. It was hard for me to type or take notes or, just like little things like, and then, so I lost my job, and then what did I do? I went for another kind of office job. what are your typing? You know, those,
Yeah.
the routine. How's your typing, this and that and the other. And it's just, I kept messing up. So then it got to the point where I was like, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, I think I went to like, I don't know, like some fast food chain restaurant, right? Like Taco Bell or like one of those kind of deals. And I was walking to the interview for this fast food chain, and I tripped. I tripped because I didn't see the little, like, you know, when you park that little block or whatever. I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I tripped over it. And then I tripped, and then I stepped. And then when I took the next step, I didn't realize the curb was there because it all blended.
Oh, boy.
Right? So I didn't know what that was. Like in my head, I mean, obviously now I know what it was. With my vision, I have no perception of depth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then I'm sitting here and I go in and I have to fill out this application and I'm like struggling. And I'm talking to the person and they're like, are you okay? And this and that. And I was just thinking like, oh my God, how the hell am I going to work?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
You know, what am I going to do to make money?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So so after that moment, you know, I had a roommate, we had an apartment, I couldn't work. And how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to survive? Right? So I didn't want to go live with my parents. You know, there's still that sense of just like, I need to do this for myself. I don't want to have to depend on people.
Of course, yes.
Right?
Of course, yeah. Yeah. Get it. I get it totally.
Yeah. So I just was like, I don't want to have to need somebody. Right? So I remember you get depressed.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I was going to ask you that next. I mean, your mental state of mind, you got depressed.
Absolutely.
And when you say you got depressed, like how heavy was the depression? Like what, obviously you're sad because your life is changing, and that's, man, I feel sad too, because hearing what you're telling me, because I can't imagine at your age thinking, my God, what's going to come next? You know, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to me and my son and my family? But how did the depression affect you? Because you wanted to stay independent. You had an option maybe to go back with your parents, but you didn't do that because you wanted to keep your life independent as it could be. So how did the depression affect you? Like what happened to you?
So I just did nothing. I couldn't do anything.
So you stayed home?
I stayed home. I ate, and then I ate, and then I ate some more. Mm-hmm. You know, because I'm a burden. That's the way I saw myself.
You feel like you're a burden.
I'm a burden.
Yes.
Right.
But were your boy was with you?
Yes.
Just the two of you? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you took care of him, of course, and then you just
to the best that I could.
With best you could, then you just
my parents,
went into
they
your
would
world.
always pick him up and take him to school or however it was. Right. And I ended up renting a room from somebody, and
you were surviving.
I was
trying to survive. Yeah.
I just would eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. I ended up 400 pounds.
Which was how much of a weight gain from when you started this?
200 pounds.
You put 200 pounds on.
200 plus, actually.
200 plus.
Because, I mean, I've always kind of been like a curvy girl. But yeah, I just.
So you actually, how tall are you, Teresa?
I'm 5'1".
Okay, so you were 5'1" and you put over 200 pounds onto your frame.
I was as wide as I was tall.
Were you able to get out of bed? Did you stay in bed all day? Were you able to move?
I mean, it wasn't like
what did that feel like?
My 600-pound life, but
no, I don't mean that.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is like
combining that with your mental state of mind and putting this weight on.
It was, and everything was a struggle. Like I could be on the phone and people would be like, "Did you just run?" And it's like, "No, man, I'm just breathing.
You're breathing.
I'm just here living."
I struggled as younger with a weight issue. Not as much as that, but still, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because when you see yourself that way, you can be 600 pounds, even though you're seeing yourself as heavy. I've seen myself as heavy my whole life.
Yeah.
And the thing that really the hardest thing in my life was, and I'm talking maybe about 20 or 30 pounds, was losing it, because it doesn't come on overnight. It doesn't come off overnight. So it's the most frightening thing in the world was getting on the scale for me. Now, the weight that you added to your body, I can't imagine. Like, what was you? How did you begin to say enough? Like, what did you do? How did you do it? I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
So, kind of going back into
please. I don't want to get too far ahead. Let's stay where you are. You tell me what you like to speak about.
So I always will joke with my husband, and I'll be like, "Man, I don't need anybody to talk to." Like, I make myself laugh, right? Like, I'm funny. Like, people enjoy being around me. I
think you are funny. You have a great personality. And, you certainly do. That's what attracted me to you when I watched you on the Rebel podcast.
And it's just
You're
like
very
that,
powerful,
I joke a lot, right? And at my expense a lot, right? So when I was that big, I would, it was hard because, my friends were used to me going out and dressing a certain way, and I'm just like, I'm outgoing, I'm friendly, I could talk to anybody all day, every day, right? And so as I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I didn't like going out as much.
Sure.
Right?
It has a whole
effect
on everything.
Yeah, like going to a restaurant. Like, really, I can't sit in the booth because,
little things people don't think about.
Yeah. And so.
In and out of a car.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Getting in and out. Everything. Putting on a seatbelt, right?
Putting on a seatbelt, flying. I mean, you name it. Yeah.
And so, like, if I went out to eat, like, I would joke, like, "Oh, here I go. I'm going to squeeze in. Hold on. If there's an earthquake, I'll be safe. Or I'm not, because I'm not getting under that table. Lord is going to take me today, right?"
That's funny.
So I would joke like that all the time, right? And so there was a time, and, dating for me was out of the question, right? I dated in my 20s and I had my fun and, whatever. But I just remember being out and, at a bar or whatever with my friends, right? Because I was still like late 20s at that time.
Yeah, you were young. You still are young, but you were a younger woman. Yeah, for sure.
So I would go out and I would like joke even before, like, I'd be like, "Oh, thank God I can't see myself," like, so it's, I feel what I look like, but I can't really, like, I wouldn't look in a mirror to be like, "Dang, girl, like, what the heck? What didn't you eat today?" Like, I just saw a big blob, but, like, not like I could really see.
Well, you said you joked on the outside, but did you cry on the inside when you were alone? And did you say, no?
No, because, yes, I was depressed. I was depressed because what do I have to offer this world? Right? Like, what the heck? I mean, I have my son, and I do anything for him, right? So then I would joke, and I would say, like, if I was just talking to guys, or, it's not even talking to guys because I'm trying to flirt or this or that.
No, I understand.
But I love my baseball. I don't know if you remember.
Dodgers.
I love my Dodgers.
Yep.
I
Got
bleed
it. I
blue,
remember.
right?
I remember.
So I would go out, and, the game would be on, and I'd be chit-chatting with some guys or whatever, but it wasn't ever in a flirtatious way. But then I would, like, joke with them, right? And I'd be like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, you're single?" Like, ha ha ha, right? And then I would say, like, "Oh, well, I'm single too, in case you were wondering," right? And I said, "You know what? Let me put it this way. If you watch a movie, do you want to watch it on the little screen at home or do you want to go to the movies and see it on the big screen?
I love that.
Right?
I love it. I love
so
it.
I was like, being with me is like going to the
big
movies.
Screen. Yeah,
like,
the IMAX.
right?
It's beautiful. It's amazing. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, or like, isn't it every guy's dream to be with twins? I said, just close your eyes and it's like being with twins.
Teresa, that's amazing. That's amazing. So when you were, you had, even though you were depressed, you still had this inner confidence about yourself. Like that could not be.
Oh my God. And
it seems like you did. I mean, to be able to speak to someone like that.
Oh yeah. I'm just, so it's kind of funny because as I started to get chunkier, my mom, I would come home. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
We could always edit it out if we can't, but you can say it.
So it was the early 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
The phones, like, you could get pictures, right? And then so I would come home because, like, my mom's more like my sister than she is my mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because kind of we're close in age, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, my mom has only ever been with my dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember because I would go out and I just start talking to people and, and guys thought I was fun or interesting or funny or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would be like, oh, that girl's pretty, that girl's pretty. So, but then it's like, well, what's your deal? What's your deal, right? So as I was getting a little chunk, my mom's like, dang, man, how are all these guys like interested in you if you're like this like chunky monkey? And I'm like, Mom, it's my sparkling personality, right? Like, but I would joke, right? And I'm like, ew, look. I was like, and they'd start, it's the early 2000s. They send me all their pictures.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I know, I understand.
So I'm like, what the heck? So I would show my mom, I have a phone full, right? So I would show her in case you were missing out here, right? But it was funny because, right? Like, I'm just outgoing.
You're very outgoing. You have an amazing personality. You really, really do. But let me ask you this: were you doing that as a defense mechanism when you were out and about, not expecting someone not wanting to date you, and just kind of just doing it as a defense mechanism? And I
think what it is, and I don't know if you've heard this before. So like people who suffer with depression, like Robin Williams, right? Mm-hmm. Perfect example. You kind of mask that sadness.
You mask the sadness, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I could joke and joke and joke all day. So you're never going to know if I'm, like, really being serious about it or,
right.
Because I'm a good time to be around, right? Like, I'm funny and, like, all that stuff that comes along with having a sense of humor.
Right.
Right. So I just, and I did that for years and I still do it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but now it's different. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
But back then, it was definitely very, very depressing.
So when you would go out to a restaurant or a bar and you would have some fun and you joke around with whoever was in your path, watching a game or whatever,
right.
Eating would be your pleasure.
Oh, I ate when I was happy. I ate when I was sad. Whatever. There was why am I trying to stay fit?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What do I have to contribute? Who's going to want me? Who's going to want me?
Yeah.
And not even who's going to want me, because I mean, I don't think I'm ugly or anything.
No,
it's
not
just,
at all. Not at all.
It's just that
Well, your
would
self-image, it's you that's putting that message into your head, not somebody else.
No, it was more, I don't want to burden somebody else.
Well, that's what I mean. You're putting that message into your head.
I already burdened my parents, right?
Yep.
I'm a burden to my son.
Yep.
He was doing a lot for me.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time, oh my God. So like I said, I always tried to not live at home. And so I remember I was renting a room for my cousin. So my cousin, he lived at the top of the hill. My parents live at the bottom. And it's a steep hill. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time we were walking down the hill and I was like waddling along, right? And, right? So I'm walking down the hill and it's a street. And I remember I stepped on a magazine, in the plastic bag.
Yeah.
And I ate shit. Like I
Slipped.
flew,
Yeah, and then you went
and
down.
I was rolling and rolling and rolling.
No.
Like
Oh,
seriously.
No. Yeah.
And so I was like cracking up because I'm like, oh my God. I'm like literally this big ball rolling down a hill, right? Like there was no stop. I was just like, right? But I remember when I finally stopped, my son was so scared. He was so worried for me.
Absolutely.
He was crying, "Mommy, are you okay?
Sure.
Mommy."
Sure.
And I'm like, I'm laughing, but he's worried. He's scared for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
"Mommy." And I get up and I'm like, he's helping me up as best as he can. And, he's crying, but I'm laughing, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, I was like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. He's like, oh, and, just like stuff like that, right?
But when you say you were laughing, were you laughing? Was that your crying?
No. I was genuinely laughing.
Genuinely laughing. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Even though I'm depressed, I could still.
Okay. Well, you're very lucky to be able to do that.
I guess so.
Yeah, you are. You absolutely are.
Yeah.
Because like we mentioned, Robin Williams and folks like that,
Yeah.
their comedy is their comedy, but in the dark room, they're sad and not happy. All right.
I mean, I still have to have my joy. I still
Well, that's
found the
beautiful.
joy that I had.
Yeah.
At that. I mean, and still with my son.
Well, that's beautiful. Really beautiful.
So
it actually shows the person you are, how strong you are. So you what was the turning point? Like, were you afraid of the scale while you were?
Oh, I never stepped on this. What's a scale?
What's a scale? Okay. So you woke up. We had to wake up one day and say enough, right?
So what it was. So my son is an athlete, football, baseball, but at that time it was baseball. Oh, no, it was. Because as soon as he started baseball, like the next season he did football. So I remember he was like, "Mom, what am I going to do?" Like, there's no football there. It was during the winter. Like, I think it was during winter break.
Yeah.
And this kid had such drive. He was like, "Mom, I have like 6 weeks, right? No, nothing. I have to stay fit. Like, I have to be active." And I didn't want to just sign up for a gym because, he needed something that was going to, like, challenge him, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I didn't want to pay for, like, batting practice. But he needed something that was going to, like, right? So we ended up going to the gym, right? And so that's when I found Rebel, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's when you went to the Rebel Fitness Camp.
Yes.
Okay.
So we went I just literally Googled like gym close to me. And I just was looking at the different programs and, just kind of checking everything out. And then so I called and I was like, "Hey, what is the program like? Blah, 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 blah," right? And then so they're like, "Yeah, come in, check it out." Okay, fine. I was going for my son. And I was like, "Oh, whatever, I'll just do it with you," right? And I was, "Oh, no," I'm like, okay, so right before that, I kind of lost like 10, 20 pounds.
So he's still around the 400-pound range.
Yes.
Okay.
So when he actually started playing sports, that's when it started. Sorry. So it was about maybe 3 months before. And, he was getting into his sports, right? And I just thought, like, dang, man, like, my son has always been, "Oh, Mommy, you're so beautiful." Like,
nice.
all the time, hugging me, kissing me. And, and actually, I don't know. I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't know if you saw my sadness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was always telling me, "Mommy, you're so beautiful. You don't have to change."
Yeah.
And he would always tell me that, like, "Mom, like, you're beautiful," like, all the time. Right? And so then he starts playing his sports. And I thought, God, like, I don't want for me to be at his games or, I just felt bad. I felt bad because I didn't want kids can be mean, right? So I just was like, I never wanted for him to be bullied or made fun of because he had this big old fat mom, And so that's when I decided, I was like, God, I have to do this. You know, I need to be here for my son. I want him to be proud of me. Even if it's just the one thing I could do is lose the weight so I could at least be around, right? So I did. I got braces, right? Self-care, self-love, right? So I was like, you know, I'm just going to get my own stupid braces. I got braces, and then, you know, I got an LA Fitness membership, right? And then slowly I started going, and, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I'm fascinated by this, and I'm proud. So very proud of you. So the first couple of days of going to the gym must have been very hard. Well, I mean, getting there and working out, because you probably couldn't do as much as you wanted to.
Oh, for sure. So I like to set little goals for myself. And at that moment, I was thinking, okay, like the Santa Clara Marathon's coming, and I'll just do the 5K.
So you started training for that in the gym?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would get a ride there, and, you know, friends would come with me to support me, and I just started doing my little workout.
Was it treadmill work to start?
Yes.
Or okay.
I did treadmill.
So you started your cardio, building your cardio back up and increasing your stamina.
Yes.
Okay.
So I would, you know, my version of jogging, which is probably everybody's version of walking.
You know what?
But, you know,
yes,
baby steps, right?
Baby steps. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
for sure.
I did that. I did my little, you know, stuff or whatever. And I remember we went to the 5K, and I've timed myself. I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm confident that I could finish it, right? So it was, I remember telling my mom, I'll be done in an hour, right? And she's like, oh, okay. So so stupid. So I don't know how marathons work, right? Like, this body doesn't do marathons or any running, right?
Yeah.
If you see me running, it's for one of two reasons. Either the taco guy is passing by, or, you know, something chunky, right? So anyway, so I tell her, because I've timed myself so many times, I've been doing it for like 5 months maybe. And so I remember telling her, okay, Mom, I'm going to be done in an hour. You'll see me at the finish line. I can see you, but you're going to see me, right? So I did my little, I just remember, because I was terrified. Because what the heck? How am I going to see where I'm going? So I just remember.
Yeah, we want to keep reminding everyone listening that
I'm blind and doing all this stuff.
Yes, which is also, I mean, incredible part of this journey.
Yeah.
We don't want to discount that.
Oh,
it's a very big deal, you know?
Yeah. So I'm like you said, I'm blind doing all this stuff. I'm blind, like really low vision, right? So anyhow, I'm like thinking, oh my God, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I go out there. Well, first of all, I thought that I could just walk up and register. But no, you have to register online. So if you're planning on doing any kind of marathon, you have to register in advance.
True.
So anyhow, I just show up, and whatever, so what I did was, anytime, so I'm running, and or not running, like my version of running.
Walking fast. Doing your thing. Doing your thing.
Yeah, so I'm going, and what I would do is I would follow shoes. So I would look for people's shoes, and whatever the brightest shoe was in front of me, I would look at that shoe to see if it went down or up.
Wow.
Right? So I'm not even looking ahead. I'm just like down looking at, is there a step? Is there not a step? Or, right? So then I do it. I finished. Call my mom. Did you see me? I finished. We're at breakfast. Well, we didn't really think you were going to finish in an hour. Oh, my goodness. So
you did finish in an hour?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
And, despite not being able to see what I was doing.
And really not being able to, you know, you still overweight at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I was still a big girl, right? So, no, actually, I lost about 20 pounds by then. So either way, I was still big.
Yeah, you were still carrying a lot on your frame.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, man, like, it kind of sucked. Like, nobody was there for me to, like, you know. But I was like, you know, I just, whatever, who cares? And, you know, that happened. So then it was even more once I went to the Rebel fitness camp.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
So then, like I said, the winter had come. My son he needed something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I was going to pay for that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is he needed, right? Saved all my dollars. You know, I'm last. And not that that's being a mom, right?
Yeah, but that's a big deal, though.
Yeah.
That's a very big deal.
So I just was like, whatever it's going to cost, I'm going to do it. Like, this is what
You found a
needs.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to the gym, found the gym. We were doing the class, and it sucked because it's very different.
It's
you
different,
know?
and it's a mental thing because you
Oh,
get
yeah.
tired. You're not used to
yeah.
that kind of work, and you want to
Yeah.
give up. You don't
Oh,
want to
yeah.
continue.
Absolutely.
You know, it's easy to give up.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, like most things in my life, like if I want it,
Yeah,
just like high school,
right.
I'm going to finish.
That shows your
right?
spirit
Like,
for sure. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just, you're not going to stop me. Once I put my mind to it,
Yeah.
it's happening, right?
It's happening.
So anyhow, I go and we're doing the class, and in my mind, I just kept thinking in my mind, like, okay, this sucks. This is hard. It's hot. Dang, it's hot.
Every
you know?
excuse you can come up with in your head, I know.
Yeah.
And it's real. It's
well,
what you're
the
feeling.
hot room is real.
The hot room is real. I know. I take hot spinning classes every night,
Oh
so
my
I totally
God.
get that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, ugh, like it was,
Yeah.
you know, just everything about it. And in my head, I'm just like in my head. Right. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is hard, but I need this. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I was like, I don't care what it costs. I'm going to do
You're
it.
doing it.
I'm doing it.
Was changing your diet hard? Once you start exercising, I bet it's easier, right? When you change your diet because you're seeing some results and you're feeling things are moving around,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So was that a hard thing for you to change your diet? Because you still had to be alone when you left the gym. Like you had to have your moments when you were alone and face whatever was on your mind at the
Yeah.
time, which got you depressed in the first place. Still
Right.
lingering there, I would imagine.
Right.
Was it hard to change your habits of eating?
No,
Good.
only because, like I said, like shit, man, I'm paying all this money to come here.
So that motivated you.
Oh yeah, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to waste this.
Ah, I love that.
You
I
know,
love that.
if
Yeah.
when you know that when you're paying out of your pocket and you don't have the money, first of all,
I love that.
right? Like
Yep.
I had no business being a
Yep.
member of this place.
Yep.
Right? Like you look at that and it's a private gym.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to, I mean, really, like you have to
You
be
have
able
to be
to
all
afford
in.
that.
Yeah, and you have to be all in, like you
Yes.
said.
Yes.
I'm not going to waste this
I'm
money.
not gonna
I'm
waste
going to
it.
make things change.
If I'm going to pay this much for somebody who shouldn't, like people were like, oh my God, you're paying that much money to be there. And it's like, yeah, because one, this kid needs me.
Right.
Right?
And you need you too. I mean, you're.
But at that point, it wasn't
that
about
was your
me.
motivation. I
It
get
wasn't
that
about
totally.
me,
I understand.
right?
Yes, I get that.
I didn't come first.
Right.
Anthony comes first.
Right.
Oh, that's my son's name.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm honored. I'm honored. It's good.
So Anthony needs me, right? It's not about me at all.
Yeah.
There was no vanity. There was no, I want to look
Amazing
good
motivation. Yeah.
or
Amazing.
right. I need to find a man.
Yeah.
None of that. None of that.
Yeah.
This kid needs me.
Right. Amazing.
So I
Very
went.
pure. Very real.
Yeah. I went. I did the challenge. I lost 90 pounds in 90 days.
Wow.
Right? I was on the
Amazing.
news.
You're on the
Excuse me?
news. You're on the news. Wait, this is really incredible stuff. 90 pounds in 90 days.
Yeah.
What was your diet like? How many calories a day were you on?
Honestly.
Did you go that way, or you just
Nope.
kind of ate the right foods
Nope.
for yourself?
So when people ask me, what did you eat? What was your workout like? What diet did you follow? Was it, I don't know, there's
Whatever,
there's so
yeah.
many
No carbs, whatever,
Yeah,
keto, whatever
all
was
that
out there.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, for me, obviously I like eating, right? When I like eating, and I'm gonna eat more if I'm sad, I'm gonna eat more when I'm happy. There's anything I do
You find a reason to eat.
so much.
So do we all do. Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
So I try to keep it as simple as I could, right? Proteins and vegetables.
That's the simplest way.
Yeah.
And the most filling way. To get where you need to go, but continue. I want to hear more of this because 90 pounds in 90 days
Yeah.
is quite amazing.
Yeah.
And it also builds momentum. It also builds the discipline you need to continue because you're
Exactly.
seeing results. The hardest part about losing weight, in my opinion, because I've been there, is that you wake up one day and you're heavier, and then there's no immediate result in the weight loss until your body takes a couple of weeks to start heating up.
Yeah.
And then you're like a furnace. Then you could feel the food being absorbed in your body.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah,
It's quite amazing.
absolutely,
But it takes 2 or 3 weeks for that to happen. It doesn't
does.
happen overnight.
Oh,
so
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
people get discouraged from that
Right.
and don't continue. So 90 pounds in 90 days.
Yes.
So now you're on fire.
Yeah. So, like, going back to the diet, you know, and I joke about this too, right? It's like a crackhead's a crackhead. Like, somebody who's, you know, a drug addict, right? I can go to McDonald's and I could order meals for like 5 people, right? They're going to think, oh, they're not going to think twice about it.
Yeah.
They're just
It's
going to
going
give
to
me
your
my
family,
food,
right?
right?
And your whole family's waiting for food.
Exactly. I could order a whole ass pizza,
Yeah.
2 pizzas, 3,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Nobody knows who's going to eat.
Who's going to eat it? Yeah.
Right?
That's very true. It's very true. Yeah.
So I just sit my fat ass down and just eat whatever the hell I want, right?
It was, yes, I get
You
that
know?
totally.
So
I was
actually-
there. I was there.
so being
yeah.
fat is actually worse than being a drug addict.
It's easy to get the drugs.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's legal.
It's legal. Yep. And
Right?
it's legal, yeah.
Yeah, so
It's an interesting way to look at it. And
yeah,
it makes sense.
so
It makes sense.
Truly.
Yeah.
So I didn't give myself a meal plan. All I did was I remember, okay, so this is kind of funny. A couple years ago, like as I slowly started to gain the weight again. So the pounds that I had before, those were sad pounds, right?
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Those were like,
I like that.
I'm eating pizza. Oh, more cookies, chicken wings. I'll just eat a block of cheese, right?
Yeah. Totally
And
get
I
it.
love cheese. You know what they say about
So do
cheese,
I.
right?
Yeah.
If you eat cheese, you just put
Yep.
it right there.
I don't eat it often, but when I eat it,
Oh,
I
God.
enjoy it tremendously.
Yeah, my nephew, he used to call me Tita Cheese,
That's funny.
right? So anyhow, those were sad pounds. So now these are happy pounds.
Okay, so 90 pounds,
Yes,
90
90
days.
pounds in 90
so we're
days.
down to about 290, right? Or 295,
okay, so
maybe
I was
300?
about, no, because I lost
Oh, you
some
were
weight.
over 400.
Yeah.
You were at like
No,
420?
I was about 400.
Okay.
So I probably lost about 20 to 30 pounds before the challenge.
Okay, so you're at
I
370-ish.
was already trying to do it.
Okay, so you went down to 280 or so
Yeah, so
after those 90 days.
after the 90 days, I was like 197.
You were you
I was
got down
under
to
200.
197.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. So I was about there. Yeah.
Wow.
So then-
how'd you feel?
It's so before that, right? I didn't want anybody to know I was blind. And I talked about it on the Rebel Camp
Yeah, I
podcast,
remember that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to know I was blind, right? And I'll kind of reshare that if you want.
No, I remember. You can reshare it if you like, of
So
course.
basically, like in that moment, I was really like, oh my God, freaking kill me, right? I was so embarrassed for anybody to know that I'm blind.
That really was something for you.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, big time. Because I didn't want anybody to feel bad for me.
Right. Right.
Actually, even going before I went to the camp, I remember thinking, I need to lose weight, right? And I remember going jogging in the neighborhood, right? Waddling up this little hill. And I remember, like, some guy, like a neighbor was like, yeah, good for you. And I was like,
Yeah. What are you talking about?
oh, what's happening here, right?
Right. What's happening here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, like my neighbors were cheering me on, and I
That's
was like,
something
"Oh
else.
God, I don't like that."
I agree with you. I know
right?
what you mean. It's
like,
yeah.
"Ah,
I'm with
kill
you.
me."
I'm with you right there. I'm with you there.
Yeah, so I'm all like waddling my big butt around, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, that is
Yeah.
amazing!" Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, like I want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
right?
I get it.
So I'm just going and going, and I was like, man, that's when I was like, I need a membership. I don't need anybody tell me I'm cool or fun or
Yeah, you just
whatever.
want to do it
like,
and
yeah,
get it
I just
done.
want to
and
go
with
and get in,
actually
get out.
like-minded people too that understand
Yeah,
and doing their own
right?
thing.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
And it's funny too because I remember I was on the rowing machine, and it's always like the older people, like seniors, right? Like, and I wouldn't look at my phone. I did not look at my phone in public because, right? Oh, here, you want to borrow my glasses? Oh, no, I'm actually legally blind.
Mm-hmm. Conversations have to start. Yeah, for sure.
I was like,
yeah.
Oh, are you sure I got these at CVS? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if my doctor can't find me a prescription. I don't think those will work, right? So it was hard for me to use my phone in public.
Yeah.
Like all the time people were offering me, oh, you want to try my glasses? You forgot your glasses, And,
Yeah.
forget it. So anyhow, that was funny. And so fast forward, I'm going to the camp and, I'm doing my stuff and slowly but surely, right? Just the way the community is, people start talking to you, they're encouraging you. And after the night hike that I did, and my mom's like pulling me by the wrist.
I remember that too. You did a night hike.
We did a night hike, and it was part of the challenge. And
you did it.
I did.
Yep.
Yeah, and going more into like just me being like embarrassed and not wanting to share that part of my life, or I didn't want pity and I didn't want people to be like, "You're great. Oh my God, I can't believe," and da 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 da, right? So my mom's pulling me by the wrist, and I'm like, oh, like nobody understands, right? Nobody understands that. It's anxiety. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm going to fall. And in that moment, I thought, I'm doing this challenge. I'm paying this money.
Yeah.
Can you imagine I break my ankle and I'm only just beginning?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So
a lot of things to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so then, fast forward, I end up, I finally make it. And then all of a sudden, all the members were like lined up like this, and then here goes my big butt, like, and like everybody's like, oh, it's like, oh God.
Yeah, but you ever think about it, Teresa, that where you're looking at it as you don't want the sympathy or the pity, as you say, that you're inspiring people around you that know what you're going through, and you don't feel that way. Okay.
Because
I feel that way.
But for me, how do I say this? For me, I never felt that I did anything worth applauding, or like nothing about me was significant that people thought, wow, this girl's amazing. Wow, like she's an inspiration. Or I never
felt that.
I was worth
like
being looked at other than just like.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying, and I see it a different way, though. I really see someone who could have just given up completely.
Oh yeah, and if I didn't
have
my son,
for a number of reasons.
If I didn't have my son,
your son was your motivating force.
Oh,
yes.
100%. If I didn't have my son, what am I living for?
Yes,
right?
I understand that completely.
What am I
get that.
For?
Yeah, I understand, and that's the motivation we need sometimes. Though it doesn't make you less of a person.
It's kind of crazy because I would tell I would say that, and my mom would be like, oh, don't tell Anthony that, and I'm like, but Mom, I would tell him because I'm like, Anthony, like, you are the reason I'm here.
Right.
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 Before, maybe I would have gotten drunk and high and OD'd, but then I had a kid.
Right.
Right. Then I'm this big old girl, and then I see my son, and I think like, oh man, I don't want him to, feel embarrassed.
He may end up on the same road.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like in this moment when we were talking, that I finally realized, like, oh my God, was he compensating for the lack of self-confidence that I had? Right?
It's amazing you feel that way, because a lot of people in this world, especially this world now in the age of distraction after distraction, social media, whatever you can, you're very selfless. You really are, because you really are a mother, and that really that was really your driving force. And a lot of other people would not have that awareness to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'd be pitying themselves, and at the same time their children would end up having that kind of a life too, to be honest with you. You know, I think it's amazing.
And I wasn't even raised that way. And I think that's why I was like, how dare I feel bad for myself? How dare I, anything really.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But Teresa, you had so many reasons to feel bad about yourself, and that's okay. Don't worry. We'll have the cleaning people pick it up later, which is me. So, you really are amazing. So,
and see, it's so crazy because it's hard for me to hear that too.
it's hard for me to hear that too about myself. I mean, it is. I understand. I'm with you there. I mean, it's a very, it took a long time for me to have my self-confidence and build up my self-esteem to where it is now. And it's a battle every day. It's not like, oh, we made it. We're at the top of the no, never.
Yeah, no.
It's an everyday battle to
it's
continue.
it's like you're never done.
You're never
right?
done. And that's growth though.
But it
because
is.
you do grow at the
Yes,
same time.
Absolutely.
So we can spend hours here, but I want to really get to some of the other really great stuff about this.
So I do the challenge, I complete it, and within 14 months, I lose the 200 pounds, right?
Did you win the challenge?
I mean, I came top 5.
Okay. Someone else lost more weight than you?
So the challenge
was inches or
muscle gain.
Okay,
and
I got
weight
you.
loss.
I got you. Okay,
Yeah.
so I can understand that.
Yeah, I was a bitter loser, even though I wasn't a loser.
I thought you would be the winner.
I know, me too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. So after the challenge, did you continue staying at the Rebel Fitness
I
Camp?
still continued into the program. I lost all the weight, and I met some of my best friends there.
It's a great community.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I love those folks.
Oh, for sure. You know, I just truly good best friends.
Good people.
Like my Maria, right? Like one of the trainers, Carlos. He's been here before.
I wasn't here when he was here, but he was here with Daniel with a group of trainers. Yeah, they did a podcast here.
Carlos's sister. She's one of my dearest best friends, and Christina. The list goes on.
I'm so impressed by them.
And I remember I was talking about Erica and Greg, how yes, they are my friends, and they are also Giants fans.
Yeah, and you still overcame that, and you don't care about that.
Yes, we overcame that, and we
they are really
friends.
good friends. But then you actually started a business.
Yes, I did.
Which is incredible too. I mean, you really, which you had at the Rebel Fitness Camp, correct?
I do, yes.
Tell us about that.
So again, it kind of started with me. I bought this machine. I told my husband, well, I'm never going to drive. I'm never going to this. I'm never going to that. And I lost all this weight before. And I need this because it'll be cheaper to buy it than to actually go to like a med spa or something to have the services done. So he purchased, financed the stuff for me to do it. And so then after that, I just remember it was during COVID and whatever. And then so in 2021, I posted on Facebook because, it's a pretty pricey thing to get done. I mean, when I looked into it originally, it was like financing available. I was like, holy moly.
Yeah, it's a lot. That med spa stuff is expensive. Yeah,
absolutely. So I was like, holy shit. So that was like part of my hey, look, we could spend this much or we could buy it. And the savings are amazing, right?
You sold them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
AKA the gift of gab, right?
But you believe it too.
Oh, yeah. So I got the machine. And then I posted on Facebook one day, just for shits and giggles, right? So I was like, I don't know. Would somebody pay me to do this, And then I woke up the next morning and I had 60 messages.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, holy moly.
Amazing.
Yeah. So then a good friend of mine, her mom owns a beauty salon, and she's always, even when I was 20 and doing massage therapy, she's always helped me. So if you need a good haircut, go to Gloria's in Newhall.
Oh, Gloria's in Newhall. Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Right?
Okay, maybe I will go there.
Yeah, you should. They're amazing. So she's, like I said, she's always helped me and supported me when I was a single mom. And then so I reached out to her again. I was like, Gloria, I don't know, this thing I have, it just kind of blew up overnight. And so I started off there, and it kind of got a little. There was a lot of interest, and so the space that she had available for me was limited, and I couldn't believe I was like, I need more, right? So I reached out to Vanessa at the Rebel Fitness Camp, and I was like, hey, I don't know what the situation is, if there's space for me, if you would be willing to rent out to me. And I was like, oh my God, I needed a resolution fast. And I remember thinking oh man, I don't know. Like for me, like I said, I gotta go. I needed to be there yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then she messaged me. You know, she talked to the guys, and you know, you're in. So I was like, oh my god.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So now you have a little spot.
So now I have
at the
a
Rebel
spot
Fitness
at the
Camp.
Rebel Fitness Camp.
And what do you do there? I know you do teeth whitening.
I do. I do teeth whitening, body sculpting. So it basically is. Sculpting the body, literally.
Like
so.
like a not.
It's kind of like cool sculpting.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt.
And how are the people reacting to your business there?
Oh
You're
my
busy?
gosh! It was kind of funny because even when I first started it on myself, I wasn't sure how it was going to work, and it did. So I had like my before pictures and after pictures, and there was some like I remember one time I had a Karen.
Yeah, Karen.
Well, almost. So, you know, I ran a special, right? I'm like, okay, everybody's first visit, 50% off, right? Which, like I said, my you can't beat my price. So, she came in and she's like, oh, well, you know, the price is, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's not like I lost any money, right? I see her once a week.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, the results, they're real. And then so after her, that kind of gave me the confidence to tell people, like, I'm like, oh, did you want to come back again? Oh, I don't know. I'm like, look, after this, you're going to want to come back. So it kind of boosted my, like, confidence in the process.
Sure. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I definitely have, like, my regulars, you know, because I always say, like, either this is going to help aid your weight loss, right? It goes hand in hand. So if you're losing weight, you know, like even for me, I'm going to start doing it for myself this week because it's so funny because everybody always says like, oh, if I had this, I'd be doing it all the time.
Yeah.
I have it. I don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
But like, you know,
yeah.
But so I'm that lazy, right? So
well, you're busy too.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, you know, it's hard
absolutely.
to, you know.
But even like now moving forward, like, you know, like I'm a big girl, like I said. These are happy pants now. I found my husband, or he found me.
He's a very nice man, Fabian. Very nice guy.
Oh yeah,
very nice guy.
Yeah. He's one in a million for sure.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Yeah,
he loves you. I can tell. Seeing you guys here a couple of weeks ago, I can see that right away.
You know what's kind of funny going on that I always tell people like, because they see us and we're always joking and laughing and la la la, and I think like, oh my god, like going back to COVID, like I spent years with him on the road, and so he supports me all the time, and even like now and today, and you know, going forward, like the podcast and this and that, and you know, it definitely is. It takes a certain kind of someone, you know.
It does, but you found each other, and you love each other, and
yeah.
that's what love is. You know, you it's the most natural love you can possibly have.
Oh, it's
right?
kind of funny. So how we're talking about my vision, and so during COVID, I started doing cake pops and like chocolates and stuff. And it wasn't until I met this girl, Charlene. And she also has low vision. Like literally we're the same age. Her birthday's like I think the day before or after mine.
Amazing.
Like everything about us is the same, right? Dodger fan, everything. And so she crochets, right? She does stuff with her hands. And I was like, oh my God, you are amazing. I can't believe you do all that, right? And she's like, oh, I know, it's hard, but, you know, I find, like, she finds her joy in that, right? And it wasn't until after that, and my friend Maria tells me, Teresa, you make cake pops. People would never look at your designs and think you're blind, right?
Are those the things they sell in front of Rebel Fitness Camp? The cupcakes or cookies or something?
No. That's
okay. That's something you do for parties or for catering
so
events.
So like I'm making all these like kind of little intricate designs, and you know, like
amazing.
And then it wasn't until recently, because I do now, I'm able to see now after 17 years.
Oh.
Yes, after 17 years.
That's amazing.
I'm actually there's a new lens for me, and it's crazy.
Oh,
right?
Teresa, that's such great news.
But it's so funny because, like I said, it's hard to. Now, it's hard. It's not okay. So now it's not hard for me to say, but back then, people would always say, wow, Teresa, oh my God, you did this, you did that, like, and you're blind, you know, like my friend Maria will say, Teresa, like, you pushed me, you motivated me, you did this, you did that. And people would always say, oh, you need to do that, you should share your story. And you know, and I think to myself, like, who wants to hear this? Like,
you'd be very surprised. There's so many, I mean, there's so many levels to you.
But for me, I just felt like, what's so great about me? Right.
Well, your spirit is great. You never gave up. You're selfless. You found motivation through someone you love, your son.
Yeah.
You could easily have gone. You could easily not even be here right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Teresa, honestly,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
Another 100 pounds, we would have been in trouble.
I didn't even. But what I'm saying is, for me, my self-confidence. I think I projected like a fake self-confidence, right?
Your life, you know, I can speak from my life only, but I went through a lot of pain early in my life and didn't even realize that it was pain. I thought that was my life, and that's what I was supposed to be dealing with. And it turns out that pain has made me who I am today.
Yeah.
And the pain created pleasure. The pain created happiness. The pain created building of self-esteem and building of self-confidence, because you've been to these terrible places before in your life, and everyone's been to their own.
Yeah.
So when you come out of them,
like when something good's happening, like you don't deserve it.
I feel like that a lot.
Yeah.
And I also feel at the same time very at peace with the bad stuff that's happening. And bad stuff for me now is not bad.
Right. Yeah.
Thank God I'm healthy and I'm everything is fine.
Yeah.
But I don't get worried or stressed about anything anymore, because I truly believe that I'm doing good in the world.
Yeah.
And I believe that about you. And you may not realize it that you are, because you're not out there you're not out here in front of a camera every day doing this, but people notice what you've gone through. People see the leadership that you are giving without even realizing you're giving it.
It's
and
kind of funny that you say that, though, right?
That becomes what you become. You know?
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of trying to touch on, is that, like, people have told me, "Oh, you're amazing," you know, all this like positive stuff. But I'm like, oh, no.
you become that person, and you're doing it on many levels.
Yeah.
I'd like to end with, where are you now? Like, what's your next goals? Do you have more weight loss goals? Do you have more?
Yeah.
What are you looking to do?
So right now I'm doing the challenge again.
You are doing the challenge again, okay?
I can breathe. Before last year I tried to do the challenge. I was struggling with asthma. But this time, I was even talking to Pete, one of the trainers.
Yeah, Pete's the best.
Oh, yeah.
Pete's
so
the best.
he messaged me today, right? And so I did my weigh-in, and he was like, oh, my God, right? And he's like, congratulations, Teresa. Like, I know you're going to do it, and this is your life. This is your life again. Like, this is going to stick. And it is. It's going to stick.
I know it's going to stick.
Yeah. And so it's just, and even now, like, I'm looking at everything that I've done and where I came from and where I am. You know, my son is happy, healthy. My husband is amazing. I have good friends. I have a strong support system. So
you have your sight back? I
have my sight, right?
Yep.
And so I'm ready. And
you're ready.
It's happening. I'm so far from where I was. And even when we talked, when we did the one with the Rebel Fitness Camp, when you were saying, like, you were like, wow, right? Like, you want me here, and you know, like, I'm amazing, or whatever your wording was. And at first I thought you were talking to the guy next to me.
I get that totally.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
and I was like, wait, me?
Yeah.
You know?
It becomes, you're so not used to that.
Yeah.
That you don't realize it's about you.
And even if somebody's telling me, I just feel like it's fake, right?
Exactly.
I just
think
like,
I had those feelings all the time.
Right? So I just like, and I was even telling, like, my friend Sarah, right? I was like, oh my God, you know? I was like, you know, people that I'm talking to, and I'm like, oh my God, not to like toot my own horn, but now I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I have done a lot. Like, why am I going to sit in the corner and not acknowledge my successes?
You have something to say.
The things that I've overcome, right? So I'm not like just going toot toot. I'm like, you know?
A great way to end this interview. No more toot toot. You're going,
I'm like,
there you go. Teresa, you're amazing. You really are.
Oh,
and
stop.
you're the definition of, you're the reason why I do this, because you're going to help so many people you won't even realize when they hear this. And there's also bigger things in your future, which we'll talk about offline.
Yeah.
I have some ideas for you already that I think are really unique and special. But I really want to thank you today for your time and honesty and emotion.
Yes.
The most valuable things in the world. And it's been a pleasure to have you on the show today.
It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Teresa. And keep going, okay?
I will.
All right. Thank you. And that is it. Another first show of the year of 2023, Our Fighting Spirit. It was a great one. It inspired me, and I hope it inspires you. Thank you.